As the Dallas Cowboys gear up for the upcoming season, there's a palpable buzz surrounding potential moves that could further solidify their defensive unit. The offseason has seen the Cowboys make significant strides in transforming what was once one of the league's worst defenses into a formidable force. Under the guidance of new defensive coordinator Christian Parker, the team is looking to revamp its approach, especially when it comes to pass rushing. But with training camp on the horizon, one crucial question looms large. Will the Cowboys pursue additional talent to bolster their edge position? The Cowboys have positioned themselves as serious playoff contenders, but as ESPN's Aaron Schatz recently noted, there are lingering uncertainties about the pass rush. The edge rusher spot isn't a gaping hole, but it certainly raises eyebrows. Rashawn Gary, who was brought in from Green Bay, failed to register a sack in the last 10 games of the previous season. Meanwhile, Donovan Ezra-Aku is coming off hip surgery and has been limited in his offseason work. Sam Williams, a player we hoped would step up, managed just 1 sack last campaign. Adding to the mix, James Houston had a decent 5.5 sacks but struggled against the run. The rookie, Malachi Lawrence, shows promise but still has the learning curve ahead of him. Schatz's points are valid and reflect a broader concern among fans and analysts alike. Gary, a former first-round pick, has not yet delivered the breakout season many anticipated. While he has shown flashes of talent, he has yet to achieve a double-digit sack season, raising questions about whether he can fulfill the expectations that come with his draft status. Ezra-Aku's limited production last season further complicates the situation. With these concerns, the Cowboys must weigh their options carefully. Fortunately, the silver lining for the Cowboys is that viable free agent options remain available. The names floating around should pique any fan's interest. For instance, Joey Bosa, while not the player he once was, could serve as an effective rotational piece. Last season, he recorded 5 sacks and had a league-leading 5 forced fumbles with the Buffalo Bills. His ability to line up in various positions would fit seamlessly into Parker's defensive scheme. However, the concerns around his salary and injury history cannot be overlooked. Though he played 15 games last year, he hasn't completed a full season since 2019, and that's a risk the Cowboys must consider. A 1-year deal with performance incentives could be a wise move if the team decides to pursue him. Then there's Von Miller, a name that still resonates with fans despite his age. He led the Washington Commanders with 9 sacks last season while only being on the field for about a third of their defensive snaps. That's a testament to his effectiveness, even as injuries have hampered him in recent years. He has the experience and the savvy to contribute significantly in crucial situations. The cost of acquiring Miller shouldn't be prohibitive, as he earned just over $6 million last season. Another intriguing option is Cam Jordan, who had a resurgence in his career last year, finishing with 10.5 sacks and proving to be a valuable asset against the run. His leadership and experience could provide an additional boost to a young defensive group, making him an attractive candidate for the Cowboys to consider. Kyle Van Noy also deserves a mention. He had a down year last season with only 2 sacks, but just 2 years prior, he was racking up 12.5 sacks. He's coming off a disappointing campaign, but has expressed newfound motivation, making him a wild card worth considering. His experience as a 2-time Super Bowl champion and his track record of production make him a player who could bounce back and contribute significantly if given the chance. Of the free agents mentioned, only Bosa commanded a salary in the 8-figure range last season, while the others fall between $4 and $7 million. This financial flexibility gives the Cowboys the opportunity to bring in another pass rusher, if they choose to do so. The Cowboys may have to wait until training camp to sign anyone, as many of these players are seasoned veterans who know how to stay in shape and adapt quickly to new playbooks. As we look ahead, the potential for further moves to enhance the pass rush is critical. The Cowboys find themselves at a crossroads, balancing the need for immediate impact with the long-term development of their younger players. The decisions made in the coming weeks could very well dictate the team's defensive success this season. Now, as we transition to our next news item, it's clear that the Cowboys are in a pivotal moment, and the fan base is eager to see how these pieces will fall into place as the season approaches. What will the Cowboys do next? Only time will tell, but the anticipation is certainly building. Dak Prescott's future is a hot topic, And with a staggering $76 million cap hit looming in 2027, it's time to dive into the implications for the Dallas Cowboys. The question on everyone's mind is whether the franchise will pursue an extension for Prescott soon. And according to insight from Sports Illustrated insider Albert Breer, it appears that they should seriously consider it following this season. The reality is that Prescott has always been a figure of debate. He has had seasons of brilliance juxtaposed with moments of struggle, yet he remains the most viable option for the Cowboys more often than not. Breer points out that the organization has already paid a price for delaying contract negotiations in the past, especially during 2020 and 2021. This indecision has impacted their leverage, and waiting until week one of a contract year in 2024 could be another costly mistake. With 2 years remaining on the deal he signed, the Cowboys have a prime opportunity to get ahead of the curve and secure Prescott's future. The offensive dynamics are also shifting under the guidance of Brian Schottenheimer, whose first year yielded one of the most explosive offenses in the league. Prescott's rapport with CeeDee Lamb is a key highlight. Despite his struggles with mobility due to injuries, if he can replicate the performance from last season, the Cowboys would be hard-pressed to ignore the prospect of extending his contract, especially as he approaches the age of 33 at the beginning of the 2026 season. Moreover, the Cowboys' aggressive moves to bolster their defense this offseason signal a commitment to winning now. The organization has made it clear that they are not simply resting on their laurels. With a fortified defense, Prescott's role becomes even more critical. As long as he isn't the driving force behind missed playoff opportunities, management is likely to position themselves to offer him another significant contract. Fans need to weigh in on this critical juncture. Where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts on Dak Prescott's future with the Cowboys? Sound off in the comments. Your opinions matter in this ongoing dialogue about the team's direction. As we evaluate Prescott's performance and the team's overall strategy going forward, it's essential to remain honest about the challenges he faces. The pressure is mounting, and with heightened expectations, he must rise to the occasion. The Cowboys have invested too much in their roster to see it all unravel due to indecision at the quarterback position. Now, as we transition to our next segment, let's keep an eye on how these developments may unfold and what other surprises the Cowboys have in store as they strive for success this season.
As we dive into the final segment of today's discussion, the Dallas Cowboys find themselves at a pivotal crossroads with wide receiver George Pickens. After signing his franchise tag, valued at around $27.3 million for the upcoming 2026 season, expectations within the organization are high for Pickens to be present during the off-season program. But there's a storm brewing beneath the surface that fans need to pay close attention to. On a recent appearance on FanDuel TV's Up and Adams, former NFL cornerback Joe Hayden weighed in on the situation. When asked if the drama surrounding Pickens is now a non-issue, Hayden's response was a resounding no. He expressed concerns that Pickens is angling for a long-term deal, and the path to that could potentially get messy. This raises eyebrows for fans who remember the chaos that can ensue when contract negotiations go sideways. Hayden elaborated that he believes Pickens might even hold out through the Cowboys' mandatory minicamp scheduled for June 16th to 18th, which could throw a wrench into Dallas' preparations for the season. Stephen Jones has already made it clear the Cowboys will not be offering Pickens a multi-year extension this offseason. While head coach Brian Schottenheimer remains optimistic that Pickens will keep his nose clean and not disrupt team chemistry, the reality is that the organization is in a precarious position. The echoes of last summer's contract dispute with Micah Parsons still linger, where Dallas made the shocking move to trade Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. That decision netted the Packers a 4-year, $188 million deal with a whopping $136 million guaranteed. The Cowboys cannot afford to make another misstep. The question on every fan's mind is whether any team would be willing to part with draft picks to secure Pickens for a long-term deal this spring or summer. Hayden weighed in, expressing his hope that Pickens avoids a holdout. He emphasized that while he understands the desire for a long-term contract, he doesn't want Pickens to miss out on the substantial $27.3 million he's set to earn. Hayden pointed out the challenges of the NFL landscape, where players often find themselves in tough contractual situations that seem unfair. For the Cowboys, the stakes are high. If Pickens participates in the mandatory minicamp, it could silence the naysayers and put to rest concerns about his commitment. However, if he chooses to hold out, it could create unnecessary tension within the locker room and ultimately hurt the team's performance on the field. Fans, Where are you watching from? What do you think will happen with George Pickens? Will he show up to minicamp, or are we in for a rocky summer? Share your opinions in the comments below. As we wrap up the segment, it's clear the Cowboys face a critical juncture. The decisions made in the coming weeks will have a significant impact on the team's success. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned as we continue to follow the unfolding drama surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. Your voice matters, so let us know your thoughts on this ongoing saga. The pulse of the Cowboys community is alive and well, and we want to hear from you.